Machine here, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel. 20-minute video for 2 minutes worth of content. Gold.
Right, this is going to be another episode of Reflections, and my guest for this one is going to be Aleksib, the in-game leader of Na'Vi, Natus Vincere. Now, I did do an episode, it's not an interview, but it's sort of like an interview. I did that episode of that show I used to do called Strap Book, where me and Lagi would invite in-game leaders and people who just like the coaches, and the idea was we picked their brain about how they thought about the game. But actually, because you hadn't done many interviews, I went back and watched it. It is sort of, the first half of it almost is like an interview. We basically ask you like how you started in the scene, how did you become an in-game leader. So I will say, I won't cover loads of that ground because people can just go and watch the link. Like, it'll be in the description box. It's about an hour and a half. There's quite a lot of stuff in there. But I'll use some of the things when I re-listen to it to ask some different questions. So one thing you said, actually, Aleksi, at the beginning of that video was that you actually had this weird origin story where you were a League of Legends player. You were a Diamond 1 player, which isn't bad, but it's not pro level. People have to understand. Like, that's like being like a tier 4 Counter-Strike player. Like, you're still so far from being pro. It's like, you know, it'd still be a naive dream. And you said basically that when you went to Assembly, the super famous Finnish LAN, to play League of Legends, what you realised was, like, well, I'm losing to people who are Finnish in League of Legends, and they're not even good. Like, they're not even pro players. It sort of made you realise, like, I'm never going to be pro in this game. And you said you basically switched to CS because you saw the CS at the tournament. You came back next Assembly, and by you came next Assembly, you won the tournament in like the BYLC LAN. So, like, hence the CS career. So I want to ask the alternate timeline question, which goes like this. Right? Was it actually like a real dream to be like a League of Legends pro? Like, if, for example, let's say you'd have had one of those streaks sometimes you get on the ladder where you just get like the 9 fluky games where someone carries you might smite a Baron or whatever. If you'd have had some crazy streak and you'd run into Challenger one time, do you think you would actually try to be a League of Legends pro? Do you think that could have been a real path for you?
I honestly, that's a good question. So the backstory to this is that what made my decision so much more easier is the fact that Finland had no platform for League of Legends. So there was this Arctic team. I remember this only organization that I ever knew that they had league players that some of them were even challengers, some of them were high Diamond 1 or something like this. But they pretty much did no social media, no videos on YouTube, like nothing that you could follow, nothing that like, who are these people even? Like, I just knew their league names. And I saw them, or like knew where they sat on the Assembly tournament we were playing. But the thing is that because of no platform and nothing, and I was watching all these other like legends in League, like Diamond Prox and all these guys, I was just thinking to myself, like, here I am playing League and CS. And by the way, I did play a lot of CS. Like, I played a lot of CS 1.6 and early CSGO with my friends. Before that, I played Call of Duty 4, like kind of with my friends and solo and in teams. But the thing what happened was I played CSGO with my friends and League with my friends. But in League, I started to play more with, like, I started to search for a team. You know, I was making these left for team posts in forums, and I wanted to search for a Finnish group that wanted to play together, and I wasn't doing that too much on CSGO. I was playing with my friends only, but we were decent on CSGO. We were not bad at all. But the thing was, there was nothing in League in terms of Finnish League of Legends. So I'm in this tournament, literally going up from my desk, moving 50 meters, and I'm watching this pro CSGO tournament live, being played live. Like they had. Who did they have? They had this nostalgia team with Kenny S and all these guys. I think Apex was also there. And then the best Finns who ever played there. And I could see them live playing, and I could see spectators, and I could see Finnish casters. And I'm just thinking to myself after the League tournament, like, why am I trying in this tournament where in the same LAN there is a pro tournament and a like bring your own computer tournament, which is the amateur one, and I'm just thinking to myself, like just fuck League, like there's nothing to this. Like all of the other pros are miles ahead in terms of what they have in their countries or the culture they had, for example, in Korea already. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, there's no way you can make it worldwide, and there's only a handful of league players from Finland, even to this day, like White Knight or something like that. I didn't follow that clearly. Maybe there's some new guys, but yeah, I just thought to myself like, there's no way I'm playing this game anymore, and pretty much I played it on off. I uninstalled the game. I didn't play it at all seriously after that, and I just started playing CSGO, not seriously, but with my friends. But after winning the next year's amateur tournament, it's kind of like at that point I kind of started to realize that we weren't half bad. Like, we were actually pretty decent, and we were playing a lot of FACEIT and high ranking there as well, and it just felt like natural to switch, because I played a lot of FPS games before even touching League.
Right, just to skip forwards, because it'll connect to this. If you used to play CS, like basically just fucking around with mates, and like, you know, you're at like a decent level, but on the side, you try to go pro in League. Have any of them like reached out? Because it must be pretty mental. You've just won like the major in Counter-Strike now all these years later. Do any of those people ever go like, do they ever hit you up like, holy fuck, you're pro in CS? Like, do they all know that you made it in CS? Does everyone know?
I'm not sure if everyone knows. I didn't play with the same nickname. We couldn't see each other's faces, all this same stuff. But the thing is, though, I didn't play high level enough. You know, we were playing these. I think ESL were hosting like these
cups
tournaments
and stuff,
that you could play. Right? Yeah, you cups and all this stuff, and you know, team ranked and all this stuff.
Right.
We weren't high level at all. It just was intriguing to play this team version of League of Legends. Like, I was playing solo queue mostly, or duo queue with one of my friends, and yeah, it was just intriguing. But I could say, even being Diamond 1 in League, I felt like I was way better in FPS games. Like, I could actually compete in Call of Duty 4. I could actually play decently on 1.6, or like my movement and everything. I felt the game in a way higher level than I ever did on League. I don't think I would have pulled it off in League, especially considering how hard it is in Finnish scene at least. But yeah, I definitely made the right choice, if it ever was one.
When people see your early teams, so like, for example, a lot of people don't know, as you told the story in that you were in an early version of ENCE. You were in one that was with Sonny, even had Nasu, Lopez's brother, and like this is that, and a couple of the older people and the people who'd been around the scene. But then what happened basically is Sonny went to Penton and his team sort of broke up. You went to HAVU, etc. Right, in this early time period, am I wrong? You weren't the in-game leader in the ENCE team, were you?
I wasn't.
Was there Sonny, right?
No, it was Nasu.
Ah, Nasu was, right. Okay.
So I was at the end, a bit before the team. So what happened is, I graduated. I don't know if it's called high school or like you're age 18 or something like this.
Yeah.
Depends. Yeah, exactly. I graduated. Just after that, I got an offer from ENCE, like, do you want to join? And a funny story to this is from Sunny is that we played with my in real life stack. We qualified for this pro tournament in Oulu, a Finnish city, and we placed second. We lost the final to ENCE. And on this team played, for example, Otond and Uli, who are still playing. Yeah, we placed second. And when I got, a bit after this, I graduated and I got the offer from ENCE. At first, they thought that I was Riku, one of my teammates. Like, when they saw me in real life, they were like, wait, you're Aleksi? Like, we thought you're, like, or Sunny thought I was Riku, and we were laughing about it. But they still wanted me, though. Like, that's the thing. I was like, no, wait.
So it should have been the other guy, actually, not you.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, it was like a complete coincidence you even got in the team in the first place. That's ridiculous.
Exactly, but
I hope that guy listens to this interview. He's like, wait a minute, I should have been in the team. That would be the shit if he actually.
No. I hosted like a party after the major win, and this guy was there as well, and I'm really good friends with him still.
Fair enough.
But the thing was that I got an offer from them, and almost immediately we went to this IESF tournament in Jakarta, or Jakarta, I don't know how you say it in English. And we actually managed to win it. And this tournament was one of the only tournaments ever in my career that I wasn't leading.
Right.
So Nasu was leading, and maybe towards the end of the tournament, he sometimes got a bit frustrated, like trying this new role of leading and all this stuff. So I don't even remember, was I helping him at all, or how did it even go? But after this tournament, like during the flight, or I don't remember how it went, but we were like, yeah, you can be the leader. You can be the IGL because Nasu just wanted to frag out. And I was the IGL in my previous teams, but it was just easier to join this ENCE team and having like a really experienced player lead, right? Like they just probably wanted to know who I was. Like I didn't play a single game before, even on Pugs, with these guys. So yeah, we basically played this tournament with me not being IGL, and then pretty much almost instantly after it, if I remember, we had me as IGL, but the team just disbanded because Sunny got an offer and Juho didn't want to play. I don't remember exactly how it went.
Right, obviously people will know at the time Sonny was the one who got fast tracked to the top. Obviously he penned to themselves like qualifying to the major. After that he got to MOUZ Sports, suddenly he was in tournaments winning them. He had a pretty good career to one point in time. I mean, the irony is him replacing you later in ENCE was sort of like the downslope of his whole career. Always went to shit after that. Right, I would ask this, who was Sonny back in the day then? Like, was he some top prospect already? Could people tell he was skilled, etc.?
I felt like he had a lot of respect in terms of like, he has this calm voice, you know, calm tone. He's not he wasn't a kid, you know. He was one of the big voices in the team usually, or whenever I knew him. And when I joined him, he would sometimes take me on the side after games or something. I remember even in ISF Jakarta when I was like this kid who played FACEIT all day. It's like we got a mad advantage situation and I went for an overpeak. And even though I won it, I remember Sunny telling me like, you shouldn't do this. Like you should play it more safe. Like you already won the round for us, but now you're doing this. And I remember at that point, I was the kid who was thinking to myself like, I just killed 3 people. Like,
oh my goodness, that's so cursed just to be an IGL later, and that you're the one thinking that. Because that's the old team now, innit? Of course.
Exactly. Like even me being IGL at that point, I was still this guy who was thinking about frags, and I wasn't viewing the game exactly the same way. But soon after that, I was still so young, like 18 or 19 years old. Soon after that, I was the one on that seat. You know, like I can't count how many times I've been in this same discussion with one of my, you know, teammates from all these teams I've been in, where I'm kind of the guy who has to say all these smaller things. But yeah, Sunny was for sure that guy, at least when I joined the team, and I felt like I'm playing with a way higher skilled individual, and I felt this nervousness as well, because all my other teams I ever played in was just my friends or a group of people that I usually had 1 or 2 like good friends of mine and 2 randoms. We kind of like tried to see how far we can take this team. And I didn't have this nervousness. I felt like I'm a really solid player and I'm one of the best in the team individually. And once I played with the other guys, I always felt like thinking about my mistakes or thinking about my moves a bit more, because I could feel that I was being watched in a way that they needed to see if I'm actually capable of, how can I say, like being a teammate, like being a really good teammate and like playing the level to a higher standard other than just winning your duels or something like that.
One of the interesting things you talked about in that episode was that when you got this initial chance in ENCE, but then it got broken apart because basically off went Sonny, and also people don't know, this is around the time when people like Nasu didn't really want to play that much anymore anyway, like they were at the end of their careers, right? So in this point, right, a lot of people might think to themselves like, oh, that sucks, right? You had the chance to maybe go up to the next level, and instead you went and you in-game leaded in HAVU, and basically you just dominated Finland. You just went to 1 million lands, you won all these lands, but if anyone looks at the tournaments, you're not going qualifying for massive events, you're not going to the big events. Here's the question I have, right? Well, if someone thinks, but what if you could have been in ENCE earlier? If this is 2016, you could have been, obviously 2018 is the year if people remember when ENCE rose up, right? The angle they're maybe not thinking of, Aleksi, is the story later, as we talk about HAVU and then the later ENCE, is finding the players that become ENCE. Like, none of those players were there at the time. If you just stayed in ENCE at this time, right, even if Sonny stayed, the other players weren't going to be any of the people that people know from the rest of it. I mean, even Allu wouldn't be there. He'd be offered like NiP or something after that. So, like, did you ever think to yourself what would have happened if ENCE had just worked out if Sonny hadn't gone? Do you ever wonder what that would be like? Like, would it have been better? Do you think you needed time to mature in HAVU? What's your take on it? Could you have stepped up to the plate and accelerated if you'd have been in ENCE?
I feel like I honestly think that it was the best choice in my career that I didn't go with Sunny to Penta or to try it, because I was in a tryout with Sunny. Like Sunny tried to take me or tried to tell me that you could be a part of this team, like a leader. I couldn't speak decent English, or maybe I could,
Right.
but not to the standard I have right now. And I never dominated Finland. I just joined this ENCE team and only won silver medals, and amateur tournaments. So I think it was I mean, you can obviously say now anything you want about it. Maybe it would have accelerated everything, but to me, it's like after that, I got an offer to join these 4 veteran Finnish players that were really good at the time, like Xarte, Kohorn, and Disturbed, and Reflex. They were a lot older than me, but they took me under their wing and they made me the leader, and they were listening to me, and we were like literally dominating everyone. Then we picked up Sergey, and then we picked up Oton, and I mean, everybody knows the history of those guys now. But the thing is that we dominated Finland for like a year, and that made me who I was in terms of having the confidence to say that I was capable of doing it, like inside the Finnish scene, because I didn't know before, like I didn't know anything. And I think it was like I see a lot of people right now who are trying in this tier 3, tier 2 scene, and it's really easy to get into this black hole of like, after you fail in one team and you get another chance and you fail in another team, it's really like unlikely that even the best team in your own region would take you, because they kind of think you're failing internationally.
Sure.
So it's really good that I kind of like solidified my own like status in the Finnish scene, and then took a chance. I mean, we had the ENCE project after that, so that was the highlight of my career, or why I ever came into anyone else's radar. But the thing was that it was way better for me to lead an international team later in my career, when I actually knew how things worked, knew how to win in this game, knew how to speak English properly, all these different things.
I want to actually stress as we go through each of the players that like you actually had a role in basically eventually putting together that end squad. A lot of people don't know this. They think it was just like picked up and then whatever, because obviously it'll be relevant later. So one of the points you just referenced there is you told this story that when you were in HAVU, you actually had a player who everyone thought was better than Sergey because he wasn't in the team yet, called Reflex. And you were basically like, we should actually just cut this guy and replace him with this Sergey guy, who, if people don't know, must have been insanely young. I guess he was like 15 years old or something at this time. Like, he must have been very young, because everyone remembers how young he was in ENCE, right? So
yes, he was 14,
was this a big
actually.
gamble to what do you see in this player?
He was 14. I remember. I think he was 14.
Did everyone think you were crazy when you were like, let's replace our best player with this 15-year-old quid?
Yeah, but like, the more insane thing to this is that his brother is just as good.
Sure.
If not even better, who knows? Like, that's the most mind-blowing thing. And yeah, but that's another topic. But yeah, I mean, the thing was that all these veterans I played with, I think they knew each other for a long time, and some of them were really like the best in CS Source, and some of them played 1.6, if I'm not mistaken. The thing was that I was the new guy, they were the veterans, and the thing was that we were kind of lacking this young blood, and we wanted to do something to like freshen ourselves, and we were winning in Finland, but that didn't. We had higher ambitions, like we wanted to make some more damage, and Sergey was actually in a lot of these Finnish tournaments posting up insane ratings, and we had a chance to get him to this HAVU team without a buyout, maybe, or maybe he had a really small buyout. But that was the problem with some teams. Like, some teams already had some contracts and we couldn't make it happen. But Sergey was, I think, even like almost the number one choice in that at that time, and he instantly proved himself in HAVU, in the lineup we had. And yeah, then he kind of quit due to motivational issues / he maybe thought that the team didn't have a good future or whatever it was. And like 3 months after, the ENCE team happened. Like Allu called him, and basically the ENCE team was interesting because Sergey and Allu were kind of like talking to each other. They knew, like Allu knew he wanted Sergey. Allu contacted me, I'm pretty sure. Then it was obvious to us that X7 was the anchor slash supportive slash like this guy that understands things. He was young, had crazy clutching ability, all this stuff. But the most important part to me was Ariel, because he was so solid in any team he played, and we all knew that he was a good guy. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, it was like this situation that we were trying to make everything happen with ENCE. And basically, we wanted Ariel, but he had a buyout. And ENCE was kind of like already taking a chance on this team and blah, blah, blah. But basically, it was like, I'm not joining if you guys don't buy Ariel, or something like this. Because the thing was that we had 4 people which we thought that were the best in Finland for these roles. And if we just take a missing, like, not the right 5th, we will, we might not be able to do it. And Ariel was the 100% the right fit, I felt like. And yeah, I think Allu had a couple more discussions, because obviously he was already inside the ENCE group. And yeah, they made the transfer happen, and that's how the ENCE team came to light. And yeah, I feel like the best thing we did with that team was we actually played enough together, and we didn't give up, because it took like 8 to 12 months before we even did something. And that's when everything just started rolling.
Sure. Right, one of the early incidents when people became aware of ENCE, because obviously people knew the name before when Allu played there, and like obviously Natu ran the org, etc. So there's like reasons people knew the org, but no one actually cared internationally. And famously, it was when you guys qualified to go to ESL One Cologne, because if you remember, I even have like a legendary video. I think Janko said it as well. Like we had this thing where when we did our like review of the teams, I think I maybe even picked Big and ENCE and was just like, these 2 teams will never fucking do anything. And then the joke is like Big was in the final, and then you guys were like almost in the playoffs. And famously, like the point is, back then you didn't get random teams and nobodies just come up and go to like ESL Cologne and do something. Like back then, especially, like the pressure would just destroy every team. Even if you get in the tournament, you'd lose. But here's what people forget about that run, Aleksib, is when you went to this tournament, you had to start, because you were one of the lower teams, you had to just play Astralis. We're talking about the GOAT Astralis here, guys. In the first game, they just shit-stomped you completely. You go to the lower bracket, and then what people forget is, look, you don't get to the playoff stage. But that's because, like, you had to just play all these, like, insane teams. Like, so you played NiP, who was like all right at the time still, but if people don't remember, this is when they started like Forest, etc. Then you had MOUZ Sports. This is when MOUZ was good. This is when they had Rops and Sonny and those top players. Like, you're not supposed to win any of these games, and you only lost to Navi, who won the fucking tournament. And that's simple. So you only lost to Astralis and Navi. Like, this is a pretty good run, actually. Sort of, if you look back now, what was it like at the time? Like, this must have been one of those like movie type moments, right?
Yes, I remember it as clear as day when you say it like that, we didn't think anything about the Astralis loss. We were there to play finally like a tier 1, like a proper tournament. Like we were happy to play anyone. And losing to Astralis wasn't, even getting smashed by them didn't let us down a single second. The thing was that as soon as we won MOUZ Sports, I felt like the whole team, everyone knew that what we were capable of after that game. Because MOUZ Sports obviously had Sonny playing for them, and they were no joke. Like they were I believe they were within rank top 5, I think, maybe even top 4.
This is the lineup, if everyone remembers, that had all had Oscar and fucking Rops. Like, this is a banger, this lineup, yeah. I'm sure they were top 5 or something.
Yes, but it was like we won, let's say they were a top 10 team. But for us, we were probably top 30 on HLTV. Yes. I don't even know if we were that. I
guess so.
And I think after Cologne, we were 13 or 15. Like, we bounced so high up in the rankings. But especially after this MOUZ Sports game, because we knew that, like, Sonny left the Finnish scene to, for this, like, the greener grass. And he was actually playing really solid. But after winning this team with Sonny in it, and with knowing that they were a really solid team, I think the whole team knew that we actually have what it takes. We didn't have enough to beat Navi, but this enabled us to get into another tournament, and eventually we actually like kept repeating, like beating these top 5 teams and making deeper runs.
When you actually play against two teams like that, though, like Astralis and Navi were like top 3 teams at the time. These teams were like the elite of the elite. When you play teams like that on LAN, which way does it go? Because people want to know, like, is it more like you play them and even if they wreck you, it's sort of like, hey, but I'm actually in the game, though. Like, I could sort of come back. Or is it like you actually play and then sometimes, device a simple do something, you're like, actually, fuck, I'm a million miles below this guy. What's the vibe like when you first get in the real match against them? Not some online qualifying game, but a LAN match.
I think the thing that everybody who's been in those situations can relate to is that you don't feel anything even after losing like a round you should win. Like you kind of feel like, oh yeah, let's go next. Like don't think about that. Whereas after you've done this for a longer time, or after you kind of like proven yourself, or you have this thing in your head that you're better than the other team.
Right.
Suddenly when you start to lose those rounds, or when something bad happens, it feels extra bad, and that those things can actually cause you to lose the game. Like if you get too much inside your head, or you start an argument in the game. I just remember after having played for many months with this lineup, having many losses, playing a lot of practice, before even getting this chance, I just remember when we played this tournament or the one after, I feel like our mentality was really good, especially for a Finnish team. I think it was really good. So we could actually bounce back after bad rounds, and we were trusting our game. We played a CS that I feel like no other team really played like that. We played slow, we could sometimes play fast, and sometimes we have this Finnish mentality where someone just says, let me go here and kill them. I know that Zeus liked to call that way as well. But
Right.
The thing is that we were just versatile. And I feel like we just trusted ourselves more than anything. And that just enabled us to win. Even though some people considered us to not play perfectly or something like that. But, in the end, CS is completely a confidence game. And we had those players that actually played really good under pressure and really good on clutch situations, which makes a good team.
What I want to ask is, right at this point in time where you've had this one like mini run at a big LAN tournament and you're playing real teams, like these wins like the MOUZ and NiP, those aren't any joke to beat these teams. These are teams that are in all the top tournaments. Here's the question I have is, before that, I actually always did wonder, before I did interviews with them, etc., where the hell's Allu's head at in this team though? Like, he's been in fucking FaCe Clan before this, like, that were trying to win the major. He was in NiP when they were really good trying to win the major. Like, he was somewhere where I've always said, even if people don't like Allu, you have to give him, like, he should get like a fucking medal from like the royal family of Finland or something, mate, because like he did like a service to Finland, going down a level and agreeing to play with Finnish players. Like, in that point in his career, I can tell you he definitely would have had offers. But I mean, when he's in the Optic team, he had there's a million people would have taken this guy into like a tier 1.5 team. So what were his expectations around this time? Like, did he actually think this team was going to go to the top? If you have a run like that, did it make him think, hey, it's possible? Where do you think he was at as a person? Because the rest of you, I get it, you're all new, you're fresh, but where do you think Allu was at?
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I feel like that is an underrated comment. Like, if he never took a step down, so to say, I don't think I would ever be here. I don't think like all the other people in ENCE might have not been there where they were at their career. So that was a moment that enabled the Finnish scene to grow. And I feel like as well that as a fresh IGL, or like an IGL who didn't really know his place, you kind of like knew how Finnish CS was played, but you basically had one team you won all these Finnish lands with, and then you jump into ENCE and you have all these players from the teams that you kept winning or you kept playing back and forth, and everybody played a bit different way. I just feel like Allu, what he bring was a lot of situational awareness, and something that I never forget because I played with Allu, simple. And there is no other Oper I've ever had that I join a team and the Oper has a voice.
Oh, right, I see.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
CS can be played like that. But I played with Mantu, who was a rifle before picking up the op. I played with Monesi, who was an insane talent, but he just needed time to grow, and he wasn't like a balls to the table kind of guy when you join the team, you know. And then I played with Hetrick, and now I played with Wonderful. They're all like, they will get there eventually. But I felt like as soon as I played with Allu and as soon as I played with Simple, I felt the same vibe of CS can also be played where this guy who is playing one of the most important roles in the game, I think, apart from IGL, that's the next most important. The thing is that some rounds become so much easier, and it actually also helps your rifle players play a lot more consistent. Because if you have this vision and if you can communicate at the same time you're playing, or as soon as you know the opponents don't have money and you have an op, or you know because the opponents played a certain way, now you need to do this. You know, it's just a different way of playing Counter-Strike, and it helps the IGL so much. Like, I cannot stress enough how much it helps when you have someone that is making plays with this weapon that even back in the day was more OP, that you can maneuver and make these plays, info gathering plays or round winning plays, and you just win this important round, and next round you lose, you don't get money fucked, for example. It's just like the game, the dynamics change, and Allu was really good at that. Like 100% the best that Finland had at that time, considering Opers and just raw experience. And all these other names, people I named, I'm not telling you that they are bad, because obviously people will now think that I'm only praising Allu and Simple. The only thing is that I think they just needed that 3 to 6 months before they kind of had the voice in the team. Like even me, like I'm not joining a team and telling like you do this, you do that, and we do it only this way. But you know, with Allu and Simple, it was different. You could feel that they already had their foot in the door. You know, like they were there to play, and I like that because it honestly just helps the IGL more than anything else, I feel like.
From the high of the Cologne run, you then got like the splash of water in the face because you went to the RMR. 2 teams get to go to the major, so of course you finished third. And if you go look who you played, you lost to Optic, which was Snappy's team, and then you lost to NiP, which is Veterans. Like, it's not like these are bad teams to lose to, but the problem is, after the Cologne run, you have to believe it's possible, right? You got to think, who might make the major?
Yes, and I actually think some of the... I wasn't the type of guy to... I was so happy, like, making it further and further, but I think we had people in the team, for example, Allu, which probably thought that we need to make the major now. Right. But for me, I only, like, after that loss, I kind of felt the vibe that, holy shit, we were actually close. Like, what? And we should have won. We should have been there. And I feel like that was one of the changing moments in the team and also in the way I also saw things, that, like, it's not, like, I can't be satisfied to the fact that I just made a tier 1 LAN. Like, I need to step up, and we need to actually, as a team, aim a lot higher. And I feel like, yeah, that was a stepping stone for sure. I do remember that day we lost. I think it was Optic we lost the Decider to. I think Config was there and Yugi was there, some of these players, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And yeah, now that I think back to it, I just felt like being in the minor was like taken for granted, and you know, I didn't think about making it to the major that much or that important. I just wanted to beat the next team who's facing me. But after not making the major in one match, I started to think like, yeah, there's no way we're gonna have this feeling 2 times in a row or something like that.
Oh, right.
And we actually
right.
Actually, after that, it's like, but we just stepped up so much after every tournament, I felt like, and then we made the next major, and I think that was Katowice, right?
Yeah. I've got a question before then, though. One thing that's quite cool when I went and looked back is there's 2 reasons why no one saw ENCE coming even after this Cologne run. So one is that if you look at, right, when someone does like one little run like that, unless they do then like qualify to a major or like win a big tournament, you just think, oh, it's a one-off, they had a good bit of form then, and teams go, it's not like the rankings are permanent, teams go from 12th to 18th to 27th to 12th again, whatever. You go up and down as you go, but the key thing is, if you go back, the team just consistently got better from that point onwards, mate. Like, not making this a major, like I say, the teams you lose to are actually professional teams with real top players in. Then after that, you have this whole run of lands. You had like a DreamHack Montreal, you came second at, still beat some good teams there. You had the StarSeries one famously where you beat a bunch of the squads. You beat Big, Optic, again, you beat Vegas Squadron with Chopper and those guys. You had the DreamHack Winter where you beat G2. It's no joke. Like G2 was the one. Remember that had Jocks and Kenny S and Existence, etc. And then the RMR itself, you won to go over teams like North, Valiance. People don't know that Valiance was on with Hunter, etc. Like these are all like teams that should be around your level, and you're actually like sort of climbing up. So even though people didn't see you coming at the major and couldn't know you'd do the run there, something did happen between this Cologne run and the major, right? Because as you say, the weirdest thing is in history, I have my big principles of Counter-Strike, right? And I say after 3 or 4 months, you either know a team's good or they're just not going to make it, mate. Like, if they've had like 4 months to do like 3 or 4 lands and a whole bunch of like, what's left to see, And the only exception in history, I used to say, was that Carrigan Mouse Sports one, where they kept the same lineup, but famously, apparently, they changed like Frozen and Rops' positions, and that's suddenly why they got insane at the end of 2019 and they got gold. And even then, if you're going to have an exception be like a Carrigan team, well, that probably should be the exception, Like, you've sort of put one of the best IGLs ever in, yes. Right? I think the other exception's ENCE, because as you say, normally a team doesn't go like 6 to 8 months all together, same lineup, just play all, and then just get way better after that and go to the top. Like, that doesn't happen. So what happened, do you think? What took place in this time in between of trying to like dominate the tier 2, tier 1.5 scene? What changed in ENCE that made you a team that could go to a major final, could beat the Astralises of the world? What changed?
I think the thing is, obviously you need a bit of luck in order to qualify, but as soon as we qualified for that tournament that enabled us to, it was in Moscow, that enabled us to qualify for Cologne, I'm glad we, took that chance and we actually made it happen. Because otherwise you might get stuck to this where you just play online and you don't get to these tournaments. Right. And then once you get to a tournament, you fuck up and then it's all over. So we actually played a lot. We had that chance. We made it. And that's what enabled everything. And the other thing is that we played so much practice that it actually gave us... By the way, I have a really good thing that I just remember. I have my old PCs here because I moved apartments. And one of my friends was like, or my cousin was like, he needs a PC. He can maybe play CS2 at all. Like, he just wants to play a bit. And just because they happen to be here, the PCs, I just plugged into the PCs my gear, and because I wanted to see what's on the PC before I gave it to him. Like, I want to format the PC, and I don't know, like the parts that are inside the PCs are so ancient that I was just telling him that
it's never going to run CS2. I know he's screwed on that.
Yeah, but
someone throw one smoke at me over, mate.
Whatever is fine with me. Sure, then I'm like, sure. Might as well. But I was watching, and I remember, because I played Call of Duty 4, and I had this habit, because I played solo and I was thinking about myself and all this different stuff. I had a habit from all the way to when I started playing that as soon as a game ended, I opened the stats and I took a screenshot.
Okay.
After every game, like, it didn't matter. I always did it, and it became a habit where even when I played PUG sometimes, I was like, before I typed quitting console, I would do it. But mostly it was like practice and official and all these matches that actually mattered that I did it. So I opened the PC and I had this, like, there was so many pictures, like all the practices we ever played with ENCE. Like, I just went through like every game. These opponents only got like 3 rounds against us. Like, holy shit, we were...
Oh, so you could see the team getting better.
Yes, but I was going through all this, we lost against these guys or something like this on practice. Like, it was just funny seeing, because it was so many years ago we played these games. But that just proved me how much we actually played. Like, it was
everyone grinding?
Amount of...
Right.
Yes, like, we played a lot of practice. Right. And the thing is, after all those months, like, we didn't give up. We still thought that everybody's best in their positions, and we weren't like, if we had an argument within the team, we would always solve it. We would never like had fights that were not being solved, or like everybody losing their motivation. So we kept playing, and the thing is that once we actually got these chances against really good teams, I feel like our playbook was actually deep enough, or we had more than enough repetitions to be in a situation we actually were in previously in some of our practices, or we talked about a certain situation or whatever it is, or we played like a strat a million times. And when I say that, okay, we did this strat last game, let's do the same thing, but instead of this, you do that, for example, like minor tweaks, right? We played so much that I feel like that became easier. And it just became easier to play situations because we played so much together and had so many practices on all of the maps. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing with the new lineups today. There is so many online tournaments and there is so many things you constantly play that I feel like sometimes I'm watching a team, I'm just wondering to myself, like, they're playing an official every single day. Like, when are they practicing? Because I know a lot of these amateur teams, they are handling official days, like waking up, doing preparation, all this different stuff, and they don't practice a single game after, or before. And the thing is that we actually practice for weeks before playing. So that's the biggest difference I feel like to this day, is that even back then, it wasn't too long ago, like 2018, you didn't play all the time, or maybe we just decided not to play on these online tournaments. I don't remember what it was, but we didn't play that much, I felt like, when it comes to online cups or something like this. We just played what was important, and I'm just happy that one chance enabled us to, jump, like take a leap to the bigger games.
If you were looking at those screenshots, then I can ask you this question, which is, because of the Cologne run, teams will have known you. Like, if you beat teams like MOUZ and you're getting close against people like Navi, people are going to pay attention. And obviously, you're in like the tier 2, 1.5 circuit at this point in time. Around this time period, before Katowice, would you get like the odd scrim against like an Astralis or Navi? If Team Liquid come to Europe and book up, would these teams give you the odd scrim?
We would get an odd scrim, and but I do remember that. And I remember after this, being in so many teams, the same thing happens. When you play a team you never heard about, you kind of like, the practice isn't the same, the vibe isn't the same. And I feel like we always tried to give our best, but we could feel that it was sometimes even worse practice against some of these people, because we felt like they didn't take it as serious.
Right.
There were these teams that we felt like they were playing until the end, or they weren't rushing all the time. I mean, rushing is not a bad thing at all, but when you watch a team play on this highly rated tournament, and then you go practice against them, and you feel like they don't play the same style at all, or they might be running with shotguns, or we used to, like, Allu used to love the Max 7, for example, and sometimes he pulls it off on practice, and you could imagine, like, I just remember so many practices against Navi where he's doing Max 7 on Zeus, or he's knifing Zeus, and we just knew the practice over.
Oh, they're just told as fuck, I'm sure, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
But that's the thing, like, we were happy playing all those teams, but I feel like we were grinding a lot against this tier 2 opposition. And yeah, games here and there against like proper tier 1 teams, but I think they were just avoiding us, because after these deeper runs, we would actually constantly play these top teams.
Right. The other question was, obviously, I have to introduce that Twista came in as a coach as well. What was the impact of having him as a coach?
Twista?
Yeah.
I feel like the thing was that he was really good friends with Allu, and he always was. And I feel like we just had this... We had a good dynamic between the whole team. I feel like he kept people in check, but he wasn't... I feel like he wasn't like too strict on anything. Like, we would always discuss, think about what's best and what's not. And during LANs, he would make these wake-up calls to us, or kind of like these wake-up speeches, because we still had young players. I was even young, and sometimes someone needed to tell me to wake up or something like this.
Right.
And I feel like he was the perfect man for the job, but like tactically and all this stuff, he was always helping. But I've had like so many different coaches after the fact that I can say that he was the perfect coach for a Finnish team. Because,
Okay.
after the game, he would go out and smoke and,
All
just,
right. Okay.
he knows when to be strict and when to be a bit more loose and all
Right.
this stuff. And he always trusted in me. That was the most important thing. And he trusted on a lot of the players. Like, he wouldn't make these arguments or these comments that would demotivate someone. Like, he was always there, and he was just, the perfect fit for the ENCE lineup.
When you guys were at the major, there's a part that people don't remember, because here's the problem. This is where, when people know that, like, Team Liquid, for example, lost to you, and they were supposed to be like the number 1 and number 2 team in the world at the time, like, everyone makes fun of them, like, look, haha, they looked past ENCE and thought they were already in the semis. It's like, everyone did, because everyone only remembers the playoff run from this event. What they don't remember is this. Like, in the first Swiss system, you actually didn't really have to play that many good teams. And in fact, when you played Renegades, it was pretty good at the time. You just got beaten by them straight up. Then in the second Swiss system, in the BO1, they beat you as well. You lost to Hellraisers, so you were down 0-2 in Swiss, in the second Swiss, where a team like yours would nearly always go out. So you're going to have to win 3 series in a row. And you did. You beat a big G2 Vanguard, which is even similar to the line of player that went to the next major final. But here's the thing. I remember the story that Allu told me that's mental, mate, which is he, like, went during this period to, like, have his child be born or something. Like, he left the fucking tournament or something mad like that, right?
Yes.
Came back, and then you played the rest, and he obviously went to the playoffs. Was there a moment in this time period, did you ever think, like, we're just going to get eliminated? Like, this is a shit major? Like, it looks like it almost went to nothing, right?
So
This is a world where Big could have beaten you, right?
Yes, it was in between so we made the top 16, so the legend stage. And back in the day, when you made tops, like the legend stage, that's when you kind of, like, reach the major. Like, you get the stickers or whatever. So we kind of, like, after making that, so last time we lost to Optic when we had the chance. Or wait, yeah, I think it was for top 16. But we won, I don't know, I don't remember who it was. It was a Danish team, if I'm not mistaken, but we won against them. And we made the legend stage. And at this period, I think Allu left because there was a couple days, and then he came back. And yeah, we were 0-2 down on the legend stage. I don't know what the fuck was up with Renegades and us, but they were beating us every time. Like, it was our kryptonite. We were laughing about it, and it's like, out of all the teams and, like, the game styles and everything people played, I never could have thought that it was this team that was the hardest to beat, kinda. So I can imagine it was also, like, a thing for them, because when we finally met each other on major playoffs in Berlin, even though the team was kind of dead at that point, but still they just managed to beat us 2-0. I felt it was. So I felt like they had this mental edge, even though I felt like we were always like, holy shit, guys, let's get our shit together and, like, smash them for once, and we never could. I don't know what was about with that, but that's history now, so don't have to think about it anymore.
Did you ever have that vibe, though? Like, maybe we were going to go out?
We were losing against BIG. Wait, I think the maps were 1-1, and decider was Train, or the maps were, they were leading 1-0, and we were losing on Train 0-8, or 0-7, we were losing.
Okay.
They had a 2-on-5, so we would have kept losing, like 0-9 or something. They had a 2-on-5. I think it was Aerial and X7 had a 2-on-5 against the whole team. And from one overpeak or one overconfident play from Big, we managed to win this round. And we know we're playing Train, which was our best map, like, for sure. Didn't matter. We made so many comebacks on this map. So many. Like, the most on my career, I felt like. So after winning that one round, I think we started to see the spark, especially, like, after winning another, and we knew we got our economy in check, that we can actually win this map and this match. And after we won this match, and it was 1-2, I felt like we knew that we can easily do it. But before that, when we were 0-2, and I feel like we lost map 1 against BIG, we went outside. Let me just tell you, at that point, it didn't look too bright. Like, even though when I don't remember what happened outside, if we, like, what were we saying to each other, but I don't think the motivation or the hunger or everything was, like, too high. Maybe we already got too excited about making the major, kinda. or making the legend state, getting your stickers in or something like this. But after winning that one game against BIG, I feel like we went back to our hotel, we had discussions and all this stuff, and we actually knew that like we were playing Abangar and someone else, that these teams are easily beatable like for us, and we can actually make it easily to playoffs. And once we made playoffs, I think it was the first time we ever played in front of like a crowd like that. I mean, it was just us playing, like literally, I felt like we were playing we were playing without zero pressure. It felt like we had no pressure at all.
Right. One question I have before we get there is this, right? When you played, for example, after Big, you played G2, which is actually a team you'd beaten a bunch of times in those Tier 2 tournaments I was talking about, right? But if you ever watch, these are all really close games. Even the one against the Vanguard, like map 1's close, the second one wasn't, right? The reason I bring this up is, I don't really even blame Team Liquid. You know what it's like to be in an actual top team, mate. When you're in an actual top team, there's only so much mental resources you could put to so many different squads. And what you do is, if it's a team like yours that's at the bottom end of the like pool of teams in you wait until you play them before you study them and break them down. And even then, if I watch these games, people have to remember this is 2019 Team Liquid, guys, and it's the fucking org meta. Like, these guys could almost like trip over and kill everyone in a round. Like, they were insanely skilled. Whereas if I'm watching these games events, like, it's hard work for you to win these games. Like, you guys have to play really coordinated. Aside from Allu and Sergey, it's not really people going crazy in the map. Like, people are fragging all right, and it's more like, you'd say, like, teamwork and like having the right maps. It was definitely key to get maps like Train into the pool was massive for you guys, Nuke, etc. Right? When you guys came to play Team Liquid, I actually went back before this interview and rewatched the game, because when people look on Liquipedia, they're going to see it's a 2-0 and they're going to go like, oh, I guess like what happened is Team Liquid didn't turn up to the game and it was just like easy and they got surprised. It isn't. If you watch this game, right, the first map is the one where it's I think the first one was the Mirage game. In this game, it's like neck and neck the whole way. Like, at one point, it's like 10-10, right? So again, if you're like a team like Team Liquid, like, you still thinking like, we're in this game. Like, by the way, we've got players like fucking Elise, etc. Like, we're going to win. They narrowly lose that game, right? You guys win that one. This is what no one remembers Aleksi. On Inferno, they were up like 15-8 or something mental. Like, the game was basically over. And if you're Team Liquid again, like a top team, you think to yourself, like, eventually we're going to get one of these rounds. Then it's map 3. We win map 3 because, again, if you're playing the underdog, you just the more maps you play, the more likely you're the better team. I bet in their minds they really thought, like, we've turned this around. This isn't going to be an upset. But you guys come all the way back and then win in overtime. It's actually a really thrilling match. Like, people probably forget how good this game was. I bet it must have been incredible to play.
Yes. I mean, it's actually funny, like, ENCE uploaded, like, on their Finnish YouTube channel, they uploaded, like, voice comms video because Natu had these voice comms laying around for all these years.
Oh, so you did this recently, right? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
He just messaged me that this is coming out. I'm like, holy shit, this is funny.
But it's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, like I would have kind of hoped to... Like, I want to hear all the voice comms, like how I was calling on freestyle,
right.
What was our vibes, like all the way through.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this as well. When you do the comeback, like I said on Inferno, you're on fucking T side when it's 8 rounds to 15. Exactly. So you have to call your way out of this as well. Yeah, it's fucking hard.
Yes. I mean, not taking all the credit to myself, obviously, but just the fact that, like, I kind of forgot how we were playing. You know, like how were all the freeze times? How, like, were we joking or making some stuff that was too much for the YouTube? But to be honest, I just have a smile on my face thinking about the tournament. But I just knew that when we made it past 10 rounds, I felt like we were kind of like floating, so to say. We were just like playing the game, taking our chances. And I just remember like making it to overtime. Like, usually at that point, when you make a huge comeback and you make it to overtime, you hear people, like, team who makes it to 15 are always cheering a lot. Or, like, screaming so loudly or having this, you know, like, fist bumps or smashing each other's hands and thinking they can't... It looks like they won the match.
Yes.
So we kind of, like, had that moment for us. Like, we made it... We came back to overtime. And usually as the team who kind of, like, throws the game, you have this mentality going into the overtime that the team who made the comeback is going to win the overtime and vice versa, right? And I feel like Liquid for sure felt like awful throwing that on the CT side, and that obviously went to why we won them on overtime. But I'm happy we made it happen there, because Liquid spanked our ass when they won that
The Grand Slam thing, yeah.
Grand Slam.
Sure.
It just, I remember playing against Prime Astralis that I felt like you couldn't beat them until we actually did in Madrid, but like so miles ahead from any other team. And then suddenly when Astralis drop a little, like Liquid get this boost and we're getting into finals with ENCE. I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna establish something with ENCE, and then we just get spanked left and right by them. And I'm like, holy shit, can we have this form at one point or something? Because like they were like, honestly, they're individuals. Like even Nitro with the AWP, like it just felt like no matter what you did or the amount of reviews you did after games or when you were watching VODs, like you're just getting insta-killed. It was not funny, let me tell you.
Because then again, the match people again, this is where people just remember moments, Aleksi. Everyone in the semi-finals will go, I remember that Thorin. Simple lost that 1v1 against it. It's like, no, again, the story of this match is ridiculous because this is when Na'Vi, remember, is like, right after this, by the way, they won that StarSeries tournament and spanked everyone. This is the Na'Vi that's like Simple and Electronic are just fucking going off all the time in every game. And in this series, I went and looked it up again, right? The two maps that ENCE wins are 16-14 each. And the map they win, they just shit stomp you on Dust 2, like 16-3 or something. And in this series, if people don't know, Simple is plus 34 for this series. And on the last map, the reason why that 1v4 is so notable is because he was basically like winning every round. Like in this scenario again, like the movie version would be like they win at the end of this. You know, you almost did it. Like, oh my god, we were so close. Like these are like miracle games. Like what's happening in a game like this? By the way, like one of the reasons why I think casuals have a hard time understanding is they think like it's like a fucking pog, and you die in one round, you just forget about you in the next one. Like some of these scenarios, like sometimes when you're in a favourable CS scenario and you're in a 3v2 or something, and then a guy peaks, but then like Simple just kills two people or something like that. That fucks with your mental. Like that fucks with you. It's hard to know what you can do, right? How do you win a game like this? This looks like an impossible win.
Yeah, I mean, I had countless of lost clutches against Simple or moments in the game where he just shifted the game, and that like nothing you can do about it. And usually when people lose clutches against type of play like Zywar, Simple, or Device, or anyone who is like known for clutching, you just brush it off instantly because you know this guy is doing it all the time. But like it happened too many times with Simple, and yeah, end of that. But how did we win the game? I feel like I only remember Mirage like vividly or like really good. I just remember that there was a couple key moments in the game because we were fighting for our lives on the T side just to get enough rounds on the board. And we started slow on the CT side, and it looked like they're gonna just run away with the game. I feel like the game was 12-7 or 13-8. I don't remember what it was, but we had like a half buy. And I just remember this round where I killed Zeus on B apps with a CZ, and then end up rotating on A, and I think I killed 3 people or something like this. Like we won a half buy, which enabled us because we were kind of like saving half of our money. So this half buy enabled us to pick up weapons and have one more round to lose, and we still have a full buy. So only winning like a half buy like that enables you to suddenly shift your economy. And against a team like Na'Vi, who was so famous of playing these rounds to the last second, and always, you know, when you won rounds against Na'Vi, a lot of the times it was like you had one alive. Because the last situation at like 5, 6, 4 seconds, they get the bomb down, then you trade a frag, and then you win the round. But it's always so hard against these teams because they're planting the bomb, they're getting more money, they're killing 4 of your people, you won't have money for AWP suddenly. And they're just constantly this annoying force. And us winning that half buy, I feel like just shifted everything in terms of economy and in terms of the fact that we had this sudden boost in confidence, because whenever you win an eco or a half buy, you always think that like you have this mental shift. And I think we won a gun round as soon we won a gun round insta after that, or they did it to eco. I don't remember how it went, but it just shifted the game and got the momentum to us. And I remember all the time when Zeus had this 1-on-4 situation or something when he's shaking his head on the camera or something. Because I was like a rookie who was so excited to be there that I was watching the VODs instantly after in my hotel room and just thinking to myself like, holy shit, we're in the finals or something like this. So that's why I have the picture so nicely in my memory.
Right, because I did my interview with Allu, again, I'll just do a similar thing to what I did before. People have to remember, if you're Allu, being in the final isn't like, hey, we're in the final. He was in finals, he lost. Like, he wants to win the fucking major. So he actually thinks, unfortunately, that people did get too high off winning, like Team Liquid. And then Navi's like, oh my God, we're here. And then at the time, you remember, this is before, like, Astralis took their break. Everyone thought, like, no one could beat Astralis. Basically, only Team Liquid maybe had a chance, and even they used to lose all the time. Like, everyone thought Astralis was too good. Do you get the feeling that, like, did people go into that game actually thinking it's just another match? Did pressure get to you because it's the final? It's Astralis.
I don't feel like it was like that at all. Because to me, I felt like I'm winning this game on stage, and I didn't feel any pressure. And I felt like Sergey didn't feel any pressure. And I can't speak on behalf of everyone.
Sure.
But when your youngest player is playing so stone cold, it kind of gives you this confident feeling as well, because you see like how calmly this guy is communicating or winning such important rounds on important moments on like with the most pressure you've ever had on your career. So I just felt confident, not overly confident, but I feel like when I was watching their games and how to approach the maps and everything, it was just so much harder than other teams, because just the utility usage and how they fake, like on Inferno for example, they fake like a default towards banana, but they were actually gonna hit A, like a apps pop or a mid take or whatever it is. They were so good at making it seem they're somewhere where they aren't, and they were always like they're the most known for their utility. And I still remember on that game I died. I think it was Glaive killing me 2 times with an HE. One time
Holy shit.
He naded from this. We were losing 0-6 on Inferno, I think it was, and he bounced from banana to B side. He bounced from the skybox to first box, killed both me and X7, both the B players. We died, and we were kind of like looking into each other, like
you don't get a gunfight. I know.
Yeah. Then I have a retake where I'm coming to library, and I get naded inside library on Inferno, which is like pretty uncommon. And at those times you're just dying to utility. And you knew it before the game that they are really good at this. Or guys, like even if we are hearing a lot of stuff here, don't be fooled. Like always be focused on the other part of the map. Like we know they were good at that. To be honest, you could say anything. Like why weren't we capable of fighting them? But at the end of the day, they were just not 1 level but 2 levels above us. Like it even winning 1 map, you still need to win 2. And it was like they were just dominating everyone on every map.
Yes. What's funny is, if people don't remember, there was a little couple of tournaments before the infamous, when you got the revenge on Astralis, but people forget the context of these 2 tournaments, Aleksi. So it goes like this. There was the blast straight afterwards, which was the Sao Paulo one. And if anyone ever remembers this one,
yes,
dude, you could have been playing them in this one. This is where you lost to them in like 16-14 on Dust 2. And then what actually happened is, because you tied with Team Liquid, yes, Team Liquid got to play them in the final. Like, if you win 1 more round in 2 of these games, like maybe you could have already played them in the final. So that one's kind of interesting in itself, right?
Wasn't it like if you go 15-15, there's no overtime?
No, because it's blast. So it was just a tie, even though that's mad.
Because I just remember it was overpass.
It was a group stage. Yes, it was.
It was overpass. We were leading 15-14. We had an afterplant on A site. We could say like an unlosable afterplant. So if you just like unplug your gear, don't peek together after 10 seconds, you're just gonna win it. It was something like this. I just remember us losing it and thinking to ourselves, how the fuck did we lose this situation? But then I remember we lost it. Like they defused the bomb or whatever. I'm not sure if everyone even died. They just like defused the bomb and round finished or something. And we were like, game finished. And then it was either at this moment or when we played the next match that we just realized.
That was the last match. So I guess maybe you guys weren't even aware what happened.
Like we were just taking our headsets off like after a tight match. And we were not making the playoffs, and then we have this, like we flew all the way to Brazil, and this is how it like. I
Fucking
would
hell.
much rather I would much rather be like losing 14-15 and they win this retake and we actually lost. Like taking your headset off after a tied match and you're not getting to the playoffs. It felt so dumb.
Because there's that one, which basically means ENCE was actually kind of legit. You're all on the border. And then the one that people are going to forget is what I referenced earlier, the StarSeries tournament in China. Because this was where you guys actually did all right. Like the only team you lost to was Vitality in the Swiss. You got out like 3-1. But then Na'Vi fucked around in the tournament and went like 3-2 or something. And you had to play Na'Vi in the first round. And mate, I remember this bracket because what's funny is your team and Renegades were both on heaters. And you both had to play Na'Vi. And all they did, by the way, is mega stomp everyone. And this was like where Simple Electronic just basically just beat every single team they played. And I remember watching these games. I was at this tournament, and it's like I'm not even sure. Look, Zeus is a brilliant leader, but so when you have these players, mate, like they just win unwinnable rounds. Like sometimes it's hard to beat these guys, right?
Speaking of unwinnable rounds, Simple won this famous clutch.
The Inferno one?
7 on Inferno, yeah, or something like this. I remember when I joined Na'Vi on the first bootcamp. I believe he was like. Maybe I'm speaking bullshit, but I remember one time he asked me about like, Aleksi, do you remember that clutch on Inferno? I'm looking at him like, fuck off.
Okay. It was a fucking insane one though. It's like one of the craziest ones of all time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, we are on the CT side winning 12-7 or something like this. We win this round, they're on Eco, by the way. 14-7 or something like this. And it's just GG after that. But yeah, he wins the round and they win the map, and that's it for us.
Because the thing is, obviously, they then won the tournament. So in this one, on Liquipedia, you just have a 5th to 8th. But again, it's like, mate, you're this close every time. So after this, we come to, finally, Blast Madrid. And this was the one where you basically, people forget this, you beat Astralis in the group stage part of it too. You beat Mundus 2 in the group stage. Then in the final, you played them, it was Train and Nuke. And famously, you not only beat them in the final, but you fucked history. Because that was the one where if they won that one, they beat NiP's streak of like, I'm fucking 24 and all. There you go, 27. Okay. They would have broken history and done the thing. So like, look, it isn't the same as winning a major, but it's like I always thought fair enough to Allu. Allu did sort of know when to do his like movie moment. You know, when you guys won that game, and then when they interviewed Allu, like, what did you think about like beating him for history? He was like, had to be done, or some ridiculous like quote of a fucking action movie or something. Yeah. Give me some thoughts on this match. It's a pretty cool match.
I mean, for them, probably like I don't know how many majors they won in a row, or it was the first one at that point, or
there's two in a row.
Yeah. So for them, most likely, like they were still taking it serious, I'm guessing, but the stakes weren't as high as a major final.
Of course.
But the thing for us was we're looking for revenge. We actually liked Nuke a lot, and we played this no respect style because I remember we were just kept pushing lobby on the CT side, which is a bit unorthodox, and I felt like if you try to beat this team playing defaults where they're like 27-0, just like outplaying everyone, like you need to be on their face. I don't know, like maybe it just was the momentum also from the map 1, or actually I think it was map 1 was Nuke. I don't remember how it went, but yeah, us winning on Nuke definitely like just made everything feel twice as nice, because you kind of go into the game already thinking that yeah, this is going to the third. Like not saying it out loud, but if you I've never in my career ever. Maybe Na'Vi had a really big win streak on Nuke at about one point. Like they were completely dominating. So that's like really rarely have I ever had a feeling in Vito that we cannot ban this map and they're gonna pick it and we are already looking at map 3.
Right.
So kind of like that.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, we were just, as you said, we were always close. But against Astralis, we got this spanking already a couple times, once in groups, once in finals. We didn't play them that much, I reckon, as much as Na'Vi, for example. But the thing is that if it was the first time we ever played each other and it was the final, this Madrid final, I think we're going to lose. But I think the thing was that we already were on the receiving end. And yeah, just the fact that we were actually playing a lot and always learning, and yeah, it was bound to happen one time at least. And for me, it was one of the biggest wins of my career. Just like overall winning a trophy, which after that needed to wait a couple years before the next one.
Yeah.
But the thing is that for me it felt big because I beat every team in top 5. I felt like, if I'm not mistaken, every team in top 5 but Astralis. But the thing was that they were still the top dogs and everything. So just winning, like just having one game, trophy on the line, and you play the top 1, like I'll take it. Like that's a moment to think about, you know, like you at least you're not thinking you won this tournament beating a team on final that wasn't supposed to be there. You know what I mean? So I felt really good after winning this tournament, and just overall of all the hard work we did.
In this esports world, it can seem like everyone's against you, but I've always got the Skrilluminati, my Patreon community, riding with me, and it is thanks to the support of the following people this video and all of them on my channel are made possible: Matt, Pugnacho Rakula, Ahmed HAVU, Frisky, Tosh, Jensen Gore, Animosity, Toucan, Tobias Bernasconi. If you've ever watched my videos, you know now I'm going to give a massive shout out to Jerky's Minion, the main man. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? You want teasers? Find out who the upcoming interview guests are. Maybe you want to ask me a question. I tend to answer them at length in my video AMA. Do you want to take part in one of those dinner discussions where we talk about what you're interested in esports? Well, if any of these perks or more appeal to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Skrilluminati today, where in the description box below is a Patreon link.